Nearly 20 years ago, Audi introduced their very first crossover SUV to America called the Q7. Now, even though the Q7 was late to the party, when the company introduced the second generation, it allowed Audi to achieve record-breaking sales with nearly 35,000 units sold when this generation first came out. Now, as an enthusiast, I've always said that the Q7 was a safe and sensible luxury SUV, but it was also incredibly boring. However, Audi attempted to fix that with the introduction of the first performance variant called the SQ7 back in 2020. Now for 2025, the Q7 and SQ7 gets another significant refresh, and as you can see from the exterior design, it certainly gets a much more distinctive face with new styling in the front, updated wheel designs, and an updated rear taillight signature. Now, as you can see, this week we are testing out the fire-breathing SQ7 with the 4-liter twin-turbo V8 under the hood, making 500 horsepower. And the big question I answered, for those of you who have had your eye on a Q7 but you found the regular version to be too boring, how does the latest version of the SQ7 stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we go into the exterior styling changes for 2025, this is an SQ7, and as you guys know, if you follow Audi, if there's an S in front of the model designation, you'll know that it has a special engine. In this case, however, it's a 4-liter twin-turbo V8. Now, as you can see underneath all that plastic covering, this is essentially the same engine that you're going to find in this car's platform mate, although technically it starts out as the Q7 platform. A Bentley Bentayga shares this engine, a Porsche Cayenne shares this engine. It's the company's 4-liter bi-turbo, double overhead cam, direct injection V8, augmented by a 48-volt mild hybrid system. And in the SQ7, it does get slightly downgraded power compared to the Bentayga or an SQ8, or an RSQ8, I'm sorry. It makes 500 horsepower and 568 pound-feet of torque. That's a pretty healthy increase. Like, we're talking around 170-ish horsepower, 165 horsepower compared to the V6 in the regular Q755 TFSI. Now, it all goes out through an 8-speed ZF-sourced automatic transmission, and this vehicle comes standard with the company's Quattro all-wheel drive system. With the sport package that my tester has, it adds that sport rear differential. Now, fuel economy isn't great when you have a V8. It's rated at 15 in the city, 21 on the highway. That's, of course, on premium gas, about 17 combined. This vehicle does have a large 22.5-gallon fuel tank. You're looking at around 350-ish miles of range on a full tank. Now, because of that V8, Audi says this model should get to 60 in 4 seconds. We'll try it out when we get this vehicle out on the road with our timing equipment. It'll reach a top speed of 155 miles an hour, and with the tow package, this vehicle will tow up to 7,700 pounds. And of course, it's their largest SUV, so this vehicle is no lightweight. It weighs in at just over 5,200 pounds. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling. Now, I apologize for the fan going off. I wanted to have the vehicle on, but the engine's not running to show you guys the lights. But this vehicle is painted in Daytona Gray Pearl Effect. It's certainly an Audi signature color, although it's not the same as the Nardo Gray we've seen a lot of the Audis in. With the black optics package that my test car has, it certainly looks a lot more aggressive this year. The Daytona Gray Pearl Effect is an extra $600. The headlights, as you can see, got an update. They have a different signature. They're also placed a little bit higher on the front end. You can see Audi has been doing their sequential LED turn signals with the laser light technology for their full LED headlights. The LED headlights also, the light signature can be changed in the instrument panel, which is kind of cool. And then you can see the Audi single frame grille is blacked out with larger air intake openings with the black Audi rings. It's got the camera mounted underneath the rings with the integrated parking sensors. You can see the front fascia also has functional air vents down there, which are larger. You can actually see the big intercooler behind those actual vents. Down here at the front fascia, you can see it's a flat black plastic. I guess that helps to keep it the paint from getting scuffed up. But overall, as you can see, it's definitely a more attractive looking vehicle, although there are times where I do think this car still looks a little too understated, but it's definitely a huge improvement over all the regular Q7s that I've been testing over the years. Now, moving around to the side profile, you can see, being that this is another refresh, the vehicle's proportions haven't changed. You have a 118-inch long wheelbase with a 199.6-inch overall length. It's around 78 inches wide. You can see the wheels have also gotten a big upgrade. These are the optional 22-inch black optic package wheels that you can get for $1,500. They have way too many spokes, as you can see. You have a 285 by 35 R22 Summer Performance Continental tire. The base wheel on the black optics package without this 22-inch wheel is a 21-inch wheel, which is an all-black finish. You also have a large 15.8-inch rotor at the front, clamped down by those, it looks like 6-piston brake calipers painted in red. The red painted calipers are how you know you have the sport package. The other SQ7s will just have black painted calipers, I believe. You'll have a 13.8-inch rotor at the back. The brakes are about an inch larger on the SQ7 versus the Q7. This vehicle also comes with their adaptive air suspension. The sport package also includes a tune to the actual dampers themselves. You can see the wheel arch trim here is all body colored, which I appreciate. I'm surprised that Audi didn't want to make this car any wider, but it is just an SQ7 and not an RSQ7. And then you can see the mirrors are body colored, actually. Actually, I lied. They're black painted. It's hard to tell when the light hits. You can see those are power folding, and they also have integrated turn signals with cameras mounted underneath there. The black optics package also blacks out the window trim, and the roof rails, as you can see, the panoramic sunroof is going to be standard equipment. That also opens up to vent air. And then backing away from here, you can really see the understated look of the SQ7. I mean, you wouldn't know this is the performance variant unless you saw the SQ7 badging and the red painted calipers. Moving around to the rear, you can see that the light signature has been updated. You can also change that light signature when this vehicle is through the screen. As you can see, the taillights themselves have like high contrast OLED design with the sequential turn signal, along with the black Audi rings and the very subtle SQ7 badge. And you can see over here, lovely looking quad outlet exhaust. The black optics package also blacks out the exhaust from them being chrome. And this V8 still sounds magnificent. So let's go ahead and fire it up. You can hear how it sounds real quick. And I have to say, guys, the regular Q7 with its V6 just sounds weak. This has a really mean but still understated tone to it that just sounds like the classic German muscle car. Now, going to the cargo area, you can see power liftgate is included, which is nice. And the other interesting thing is when you open up the tailgate, the tail lights, as you can see, they move with the tailgate. So then the turn signal switches to down here on the lower bumper. That's, of course, for safety regulations. There's also a reverse light down there. Although, as you can also see, that's just an incandescent light there in the lower bumper of the vehicle, which is interesting. When you look at the cargo space, a third row seat is going to be standard on this vehicle. You get around 14 cubic feet with the third row seat up, which is definitely on the small side. If you look underneath here, there's no underfloor storage. Instead, you're going to find the sub for the Bang & Olufsen stereo. It looks like there's also a jack, although this vehicle, I don't believe, has a spare tire. If I look underneath here, no spare, so I'm guessing it just has run flat tires or a fix-it-flat kit. If you want to fold down the third row seat, you can do so by pushing these buttons. You can see they are power folding, which is nice. Fold this down, it expands the cargo to around 35 cubic feet of space. This is how most people are going to have their SQ7 because the third row is just for emergencies for small kids. If you fold down the second row as well, Audi says you get a maximum of 68 cubic feet of space. 68 cubic feet is definitely small. In comparison, you could look at something like a Lexus TX that gives you like 94 cubic feet of space. So it kind of shows you that the SQ7 is a little bit of a tweener vehicle. So I'll be curious to see for the next generation, if Audi does make one, if it'll be significantly larger than this current model. So on the outside, the changes that Audi made were pretty noticeable compared to the old version, but what about the interior? Before we get inside, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the current Audi Intelligent Access key. There is an S badge here on the key itself to let you know you have a special model. The panic button's on the back here. Turning it around, you can see usual buttons for lock, unlock. You can also power open the tailgate, and I like the way this key looks and feels. It's a nice small key, and it's not super bulky like some luxury brands that have too big key fobs. Now, as you can see, approaching the door handle, it's a traditional pull style handle. If I touch this little area here, that locks the door for you. It has the signature Audi chirp, and then the mirrors will fold in. Touch the back of the door handle, that will unlock the doors. Audi does not offer an auto walk-away lock or unlock feature. Now, as you can see, my test car's Daytona Gray Pearl Effect exterior is complemented very nicely with the sport seats in the RS Red interior. I love the gray with the red seats. You can see these seats look like they were lifted directly out of like an Audi S5, for example. I love the fact that they're more aggressively bolstered. I love the contrasting stitching with the diamond pattern. These seats are also heated and ventilated, and they also come with a massage function because my test car is the Prestige model for an extra $6,000. You also get a two-person memory function here and two-person memory on the passenger side. These seats, I believe, adjust in 14 different ways. The seats are very comfortable and supportive, but I have to say, I don't really love how there's a lot of wear showing up on this bolster here. I will say that perhaps this is a really, well-used press car. So I'll have to, let me know in the comment section below if you guys own a vehicle like this and you experiencing the same kind of thing with the seats. Now you can see over here with the door panel, being this has the Prestige package, it has real leather stitching along the upper door panel. Lovely Alcantara. You have nice padded leather over here over the armrest. I also love the kind of matte carbon fiber. That's genuine carbon fiber with the aluminum door handles. Window controls have that satisfying Audi click. They're also metal accented. Your mirror controls also right here. Nice leather, kind of extends over to the handle. Down here it is hard touch plastic material where there's additional storage on the door panels. And then my test car also has the $5,000 upcharge for the Bang & Olufsen stereo, which also includes those speakers in the dash that also pop out, which is also a really cool party trick. As I get into the vehicle, the Audi says that with the adaptive air suspension, your ground clearance can vary from like 7 inches all the way up to like 9 inches. So it has a really easy step-in height. As I shut the door, you can see the door has a really solid sounding thunk. Remember, this is built on the MLB Evo architecture. With the a Prestige package, however, you do have a soft close feature, which is also a really nice touch, and as expected, considering this is a 6-figure price tag vehicle. Now, starting the vehicle up, you can see start stop button is located right here on the lower part of the dash. And the vehicle has that really nice growl when it starts up. Now, I am surprised that it doesn't have, it has a traditional sounding starter noise, considering that this is a mild hybrid, but as you can see, low rev limiter, but you can hear the burbles from the exhaust, which sounds even better when you get this vehicle out on the road, which we'll show you guys in just a moment. Now, in terms of the rest of the materials, you can see there are those speakers that popped up in the dash. You have the same beautiful leather with real contrast stitching on the upper portion. There's 3 vents over here, although it looks like one continuous piece. Lots of piano black plastic in here, and then you can see as well, it has basically the current Audi MMI interface system, although they do have a brand new system that they've shown in the new Q5 and the new A5. I sadly have not had a chance to test that out just yet, so I'm hoping I can get my hands on one at some point. The steering wheel, as you can see, has a power tilt and telescoping mechanism. The steering wheel also has an S badge here, although I'm surprised the steering wheel didn't get like a flat bottom design, considering this is an SQ7 as opposed to a regular Q7. You also have your virtual cockpit display here. This is their 12.3-inch display where you can kind of customize the way that looks. You can also put the GPS here, which is really nice. You can also put your media information as well. So this virtual cockpit display is now in its 2nd generation. It's still one of my favorites. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing the newer system and some of the new Audis that they just introduced. Your headlight controls are over here. Paddle shifters are just plastic, unfortunately. I would have preferred them to be actually metal. And then as you can see, this system here is a 10.1-inch display for the main screen to access your wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You can also put your GPS information over here, which still uses Google Maps, which again, still looks really impressive. This screen here is 8.8 inches. This is where you access your heated and ventilated seat functions, your climate functions as well. You can also pull that up over here. There's no perfume that wafts a scent into this interior, which I actually am surprised it doesn't have that. And then if you want to access the massage seat, there's a button over here that you push. Once you do that, you can see it basically brings up I believe 6 different types of massages with 3 different types of intensities. The passenger seat is also massaging. Love that feature. It's included with the Prestige package. Now over here you can see more piano black plastic trim. You have a shifter here that's controls the 8-speed auto. If I push the trigger and push it forward, it goes into reverse. With your top-down 360 view, this is where you access the 3-dimensional view. We can do a perimeter scan around the vehicle. Sadly, that's a picture of the Q7 and not an SQ7, so I would have liked to see Audi kind of sweat the details there and give you the actual car. And that's also the old model. It's not the refreshed model as well, so that's kind of interesting. That's the first refresh as opposed to the second refresh. So that could have been a quick little graphics swap there. Down over here, you can hear the engine actually shut off because it has a start-stop feature. There's the start-stop defeat button. You have an electronic parking brake here. Decent-sized cup holders, although you would find more storage in some of its competitors, and you can see padded center console here. But this is a very shallow center console area. You can see your wireless phone charging pad is here, and you can also adjust this to move it forward and back, but again, most competitors offer a lot more storage in their interiors, so for a family vehicle, this is a little inexcusable. I do love the way the seats look, and they're also very comfortable and supportive. The massage function also works fantastic. I love the carbon fiber here, which is great. Along with the glove compartment here, you can see is huge, so any lack of storage in the center console is made up for in the storage in the glove compartment area. There's also an auto-dimming rearview mirror that's frameless, no digital camera rearview mirror. However, you have LED map lighting in here. You have these, you have a really nice microfiber suede on the headliner, big panoramic glass roof that goes into the second row. This also opens up to vent air, or it also tilts, so this is a nice touch to let in more light and fresh air into the cabin. Also has a built-in wind deflector there as well. And I believe that feature is going to be standard on all the SQ7. So overall, as you can see, this interior is still a really nice place to spend time. Build quality is good. You can see out of the front seat area quite nicely. But again, as you guys can see, the tech is a little bit dated, so I'll be looking forward to seeing the newest tech interface from the newer Audi models that was just introduced. But let's go ahead and hop into the second and the third row of the SQ7, which really hasn't changed compared to the last Q7 that I tested. You can see the rear area also includes beautiful leather stitching on the upper door panels, carbon fiber here, padded area here. There's a little ashtray, it looks like, or a storage area, more of the microfiber suede. Down here it is hard touch plastic, and then you have these manual retractable peasant blockers, which is included on this trim, which is very nice. As you can see, these seats are also beautiful looking with the contrast stitching and the diamond quilting. The Audi SQ7 also seats 7 because it doesn't have captain's chairs, which I appreciate because the third row only seats 2 people across. Once I get back here, you can see this is pretty much where I have the seat to drive for my driving position. The soft closed doors also carry back here, but they also sound good when you slam it shut. There's around 38.8 inches of legroom back here, which is fine. You're gonna find about 2 more inches of legroom in something like a Lexus TX, for example. Audi does include 4-zone automatic climate control. You have 3-level heated seats back here, but no cooled seats. Kind of expected that considering the price point of this vehicle. Love this little digital display here, along with your air vents here, your air vents here. You have LED map lighting here as well, along with the microfiber suede, which is nice. If you fold down this right here, you can see there's an armrest that gives you 2 cup holders, which is nice. But again, if you're looking for captain's chairs, this is where Audi doesn't offer that. These seats also do slide forward and back. As you can see, pull that little lever. This allows the seat to slide forward and back. You can also do the same thing for this side of the seat as well, but it's a little hard to do when I'm kind of doing it by myself. This also slides forward and back as well, which is really nice. In terms of the headroom space, you can see I have a solid probably 2 to 3 inches of headroom, so it's pretty good. And I also like how the sunroof comes all the way into the second row area, which is also a nice touch. Now the third row of this vehicle is definitely small. To get back here as well, it's not quite as intuitive as some other competitors where I have to basically pull on this, that folds the seat down, I have to lock it down, then I have to push on this right here, and then that will catapult the seat forward. The downside is if you have a child seat latched here, you can't get into the third row. So that's where the third row is basically for emergency use only. The vehicle only sits 2 people across, and I guess I'll get back here and torture myself to show you guys what the space is like. Now, first of all, once you're back here, as you can see with the seat all the way back, there is basically no legroom back here. Although Audi says you get around 29 inches of legroom back here. I'll go ahead and I'll crawl over to the side here, and literally I have to kind of jam my knees up into the seats here. There is some decent foot space, but you basically have to ask this passenger to move these 2 seats forward to give any kind of adults any kind of space back here. I'm only 5'7", so I'm not really the tallest. There's all hard touch plastic materials back here, a decent window to see out of it, but as you also probably noticed, there's no air vents back here. You just have some LED map lighting. In terms of the headroom space, I also, at 5'7", my hair is coming pretty close to the ceiling. So again, this third row is really only used for emergencies or small children or people you don't like. So this is where some of the competitors definitely offer more practicality for the third row. So here we are finally after all those years of showing you guys multiple reviews on the regular Q7 ever since this second generation came out back in 2017. Audi has finally loaned us the SQ7. As you guys know, the high performance model was first introduced to America in 2020 during the first refresh. Now we are getting a second refresh for this second generation. And while I was expecting Audi to show us an all new version of the Q7, I'm hoping they're going to do so at some point. This SQ7 is basically going to satisfy the need for more power for you enthusiasts out there, courtesy of a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8 from basically the Bentley Bentayga. It's also a Porsche engine as well. It makes 500 horsepower and 568 pound-feet of torque in this vehicle, going through an 8-speed ZF automatic through the company's signature Quattro all-wheel drive system with the sport rear differential that comes with the sport package. This model also is a relatively heavy SUV, but Audi claims it can get to 60 in around 4 seconds, which is pretty darn impressive considering the size and the weight of this vehicle. But let's go ahead and see what we can get 0 to 60 wise. To get the best time, you basically put it into its dynamic mode, and then you floor the accelerator by brake torquing it, or holding the brake and the accelerator, brake torque it. Ooh, holy, oh, very nice. 0 to 60 in 3.96 seconds with lots of burbles and pops from the exhaust. I mean, this car is a sleeper. It's literally the definition of a sleeper SUV. It doesn't look all that fast on the outside, but 3.9 seconds is smoking. I mean, you're gonna smoke the guy next to you in the Mustang GT easily. I mean, obviously electric performance vehicles like a Model 3 Performance is gonna be quicker, but this is still unbelievably quick. I mean, compared to the last Q7 that I drove with the V6 turbo engine, this is almost 2 seconds faster 0 to 60. So that's a pretty significant jump. I mean, it is a detuned version of the 4-liter, but to be honest, it feels almost as fast as an RS version of this engine. And it's also not that much slower, I feel like, than a Bentley Bentayga, although the only one I've tested is the EWB, which is the really, really fast one. Let's try another run here. Oof. Oh. 4 seconds there, and that's with it more going slightly uphill. So we'll try another run up ahead and see if we can get a slightly faster time, but that is very consistent numbers, and I'm loving the way this vehicle feels. It's exactly what the Q7 needed to basically wake this thing up. I mean, that was one of my biggest complaints about the current generation Q7 and with the V6. It was just boring to drive. Yes, the V6 had mostly enough power to get you going, but there was no emotion to that car. This car, however, has that emotion. It has the sound. It basically says, like, I'm gonna miss a V8 whenever Audi decides to discontinue this powertrain. But the 8-speed auto is also incredibly smooth shifting and quick. It also comes with these paddle shifters, which, I mean, this is just an SQ7. There is no RSQ7, but it makes me wonder what's the point of even going to an RS version. And that's kind of the argument that I gave when I drove an SQ8 a couple of years ago, and I also had an RSQ8. There just really wasn't that much difference, but there was also a lot more money involved when you go to an RS version. I mean, the other beauty about this powertrain is, or this combination, is this car still rides incredibly well. I mean, we are on the bigger 22-inch wheels, and they certainly still, with the adaptive air suspension, gives you a really nice ride quality that I'm actually shocked at how well this thing goes down the road. The handling and steering of this vehicle also, it's typical Audi in terms of it's a little bit numb, doesn't give me much in terms of feedback, but the chassis feels really solid. It changes directions really quickly as well. The brakes also feel really nice. I mean, this vehicle truly feels like just a taller sports sedan. That's kind of one of the things that I love about these high-performance SUVs. And with the Quattro all-wheel drive system and that sport rear diff, it can send more power to the back end to make this thing kind of feel more like a rear drive car. Remember, this is built off of the MLB Evo architecture, which means it has a longitudinally mounted engine. I mean, this platform is so versatile. Audi uses it for Bentley, for Porsche, for the Lamborghini Urus. So it's kind of a very interesting platform, and it starts out life as just a regular, Q7, which is kind of shocking to think that it's just basically a regular Q7. And it's, it's the basis of really high-end performance SUVs. Oh! Oh! 3.88 seconds there. So again, another pretty consistent run, but I'm impressed. This is essentially what the doctor ordered for, the cure for boring driving dynamics in the old Q7. So I think Audi did a phenomenal job, and I'm just mad that it took me this long to finally be able to drive an SQ7, because this instantly changes my perception of the Q7. I've always thought it to be a really safe and comfortable and practical SUV, but it also, like I said, was just so boring. This definitely fixes that, but it also hasn't lost its comfortability. So I switched the drive mode into its auto setting here, and you can feel the 8-speed auto will shift a lot sooner into its top gear to save fuel. The suspension gets a little softer. The engine gets a little bit quieter, although you can make the engine louder individually going to the individual mode. But still, it makes its presence known, and it sounds good, it feels good, it has torque everywhere. It's assisted by that 48-volt mild hybrid system, although the start-stop in this car I don't love. For a 48-volt mild hybrid system, the start-stop is still jerky and just laggy, which I thought was inexcusable considering the price tag of this vehicle. Visibility out of the SQ7 is also good. I can see out of the front, the side, the rear quite nicely, although the rear head restraints, when they're in their upright position, they do impede your view out of the back. This is where Audi could offer a digital camera review mirror, which would be nice. The seats are also really comfortable. I'm sitting here, I'm getting a massage. It's got heated seats. It's got heated steering wheel, ventilated seats as well, heated second row seats, although for some reason the second row isn't cooled, which I think is a little strange considering this is, what the price tag it is. And it's also really quiet in here aside from just that lovely V8. Very little road, wind, and wind noise. It also feels really solid. The vehicle goes down the road with a level of solidity that you just expect when you're buying a German car. Not a single squeak and rattle in this interior. And even though this interior is old, I mean, Audi has a new infotainment system and a new designed interior. I haven't had a chance to see those in person yet. The software behind the infotainment system still works okay. There are times where I noticed it was a little laggy and the screens are starting to look a little bit small, but overall, I'm impressed. I'm pleased with this car. It's a great middle ground when you can't decide between a BMW X5 and an X7. And then, of course, there's the fuel economy. This vehicle is rated at 15 in the city, 21 on the highway. In my week's worth of testing, I averaged just under 15 mpg in mostly city driving. Now, on the highway, I did eke that number up to around 20 mpg, which isn't great. I mean, you got to pay to play for this big old V8. It has a massive 22-gallon fuel tank, so you're looking at around 350 miles of range. You could push that to closer to 400 if you drive mostly highway. So obviously, this is not going to win any efficiency awards, but I mean, obviously, you can buy the 6-cylinder or the 4-cylinder if you want better fuel efficiency, but Audi sadly doesn't offer like a full hybrid or a plug-in hybrid or even an all-electric version. So that's kind of, again, showing the age of the Q7 and the SQ7. But overall, if you guys are considering this vehicle and you have the means to spend the extra 30 grand for the SQ7 version, I definitely think it's worth a look, but just keep in mind, there are other options out there that have better technology, that have more interior space, but I have to say that this V8 really does improve this car tremendously, and I would probably put it back on my short list if I was looking for a family SUV that basically drove like a taller sports sedan. So after finally spending a full week with the high-performance SQ7, I am genuinely shocked how the V8 engine and the suspension upgrades have just transformed this car. The regular Q7 has always been an excellent vehicle, but also very, very boring. I can't stress that enough. But as an enthusiast, this just feels like a tall sports sedan. As you guys saw, the V8 delivers the acceleration. 0 to 60 happens in 3.8 seconds, nearly 2 seconds faster versus the turbocharged V6, which is just astonishing considering this is not an RSQ7, it's just an SQ7. Ride quality, however, hasn't been affected with the adaptive air suspension, the big 22-inch wheels. This thing still has a plush ride quality when you put it into comfort, but it can also attack your favorite back row when you put it into its dynamic setting, and that's kind of a really great feat. The seats are also extremely comfortable with the massaging function. The interior tech in this car is starting to feel a little bit dated, but it still also works well, and it also, is very familiar if you guys are coming from an older Audi product. The interior space, however, is a little bit tight in terms of the third row for adults, and the second row also isn't as large as some of its newest competitors. And this vehicle's price tag has certainly gone up over the years. Now, Audi obviously still sells a pretty good amount of these. At their peak, they were doing around 35,000 units back in the early 2020 mark. However, last year in the States, Audi did around 26,500 units, which is still pretty strong, but clearly there's room for improvement, and that's precisely why Audi has updated the vehicle again for 2025. Now, if you guys are looking to get your hands on the 2025 models, they are already in dealer showrooms, and pricing for the regular Q7 starts at around $60,000. Now, of course, that's for the base 4-cylinder turbo engine, which I actually haven't had a chance to drive. I would probably skip that. The V6 usually costs you around $10,000 more, but if you want the SQ7, it's going to cost you a cool $90,600. So that's right, it's 30 grand more versus a regular Q7, although the price difference is really around 20-ish thousand if you guys are comparing it from the V6 going up to the V8. That sounds like a lot of money, but keep in mind an SQ8 is around $8,000 more expensive, or maybe it's around $6,000 more expensive. An RSQ8 starts at around $135,000. So there is some value to be had here by getting this V8, because this car, you can kind of think of it as a Bentley Bentayga at a significant discount, because the Bentayga starts at well over $200,000. Now, granted, my test car does have about $16,000 worth of options. The Prestige package adds $6,000. The Sport package adds another $6,000. There's also the Black Optics package, the 22-inch wheel option package with destination and the color charge. My particular test car here comes to just over $116,000. Really, it's around $116,680, which I know is a lot of money, but keep in mind, if you guys are going to compare it to like a BMW X5 with the V8. The BMW is also well over $100,000. An X7, which is larger than this vehicle, also is well over $120,000 when you guys go for the V8. So there is some value to be had here, but just keep in mind, if you guys need maximum amount of cargo and seating capacity and an adult-friendly third row, for example, the Q7 and SQ7 is going to be showing its age. But I have to say, guys, this SQ7 with the V8 has definitely transformed this vehicle into the taller sport sedan that I knew that the Q7 chassis could deliver in terms of driving dynamics. With all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Audi SQ7. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.